My name is Jerry Goode Jr., and I am the owner of JerryGoodeJr Digital Daily Network. And today, we're in Chapter 9 of my book, Impossible Means Nothing, Episode 9. And before we begin, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the like button. And you can continue to support me at Cash App, $JerryGoodeJr. All of this will be in the description below. And also, you can order the book Impossible Means Nothing to Me. You can order that through Amazon. That's in the description below as well. As we get started, I just want to talk about, this is Resurrection Sunday weekend. So what does it really mean to me about Resurrection Sunday? Well, Jesus loved us before we loved him. And what it means to me is that as a Christian and a master man of God, our job is to show the world something different. God came to show us the impossible. We follow Christ because he did the impossible. And that's how we got to have enough faith for the impossible. So, as far as resurrection, it was a person called Doubting Tom. And Doubting Tom didn't believe as far as he had to see something. So when God came back on the third day of resurrection, he went and showed Doubting Tom his hands. It showed the nails and the holes in his hands so he would believe. But he questioned him because why did it have to take him to actually see something to believe? And that's how we have to look on our journey as Christians. Do you actually believe in God? And what happens is a lot of times people don't want to follow Christians because they're no different from the world. As soon as they go through something, they go backwards. They don't want to walk by faith. And see, a lot of times, things that the devil steals from you or something that happens in your life as a Christian, it wasn't restored, not so much because it couldn't be restored, it's because you stopped believing. All things are possible for those who believe, but if you don't believe in something being restored, it'll never happen. We as Christians sometimes, Christians who are not strong in faith, you don't really put your faith in God because you put a time limit on it. Well, if he don't restore it in a certain time, if this doesn't happen the way I want it to happen, because you're really not relying on God. And why would people follow you if you're not doing things that are impossible with God? And that's what you got to understand. Do you truly love God? We're showing God as a Christian that, hey, he can do anything, but we have to continue to believe. All things are possible with God. And that's why I wrote my book, Impossible Means Nothing to Me. Because number one, I know that through my own strength it's impossible, but with God, all things are possible. You can't put a time limit on it. You don't know what God is doing in the background if you believe that things can be restored. There's so many things that the devil has taken from you. And when you start something, you need to finish it. But when you start something, like I said before, is motivation gets you started, but discipline takes over. And then the powerful faith in God takes over to actually do things to manifest. A lot of times we look at things and put it on our time and our skill. But we want to break generational curses. As a master man of God, I want to show people that, hey, we're looking to follow things that are impossible. We're looking to go to things that are impossible because once it's accomplished, it changes so many people's lives. People say, man, I can't believe that was restored. I can't believe that business I thought would never make it, it did make it somehow. And then you got to have a test in order to have a testimony. So when I do survive those storms and come out on the other end where people thought I was buried, then they can say, well, how did you do it? Hey, it was because of God. That's why they want to follow you, because they see the impossible in your life. We didn't follow Christ just because he was average. We follow Christ because he did miracles in people's lives, things that people thought could never be done. God said, pick up your cross and follow me. If you have to pick up your cross, that means you're going to have to go through some things as well. You're going to have to bear things. You're going to have to go through this adversity and struggles. But on the other side, if you only continue to believe, it's going to be joy on the other side. It's going to be something that's going to be exciting on the other side. That's how you show people you're a man of God or a woman of God. Because it's not only 10% of what happens to you, it's 90% of how you react to it. And with God, you have 100% of restoring anything in your life if you put God first. That's how you got to look at it. That's what resurrection means to me. It's meaning that doing things that are impossible, doing things by not having to actually see it. Because faith is not a feeling. Faith is believing and trusting God that what you said has already been done. And you can lead by example consistently. So that's what faith is all about. That's what I believe as far as resurrection. I wanted to be a man of God because I knew he could take me places I can't take myself. And that's evident in my life. The things that are going on in my life now, basically everything I'm doing that's of significance on great level of scale is impossible with my own meaning. 3 or 4 years ago, that's no way I could see some of the things that's going on in my life that it was possible. But I just believed. I didn't question how it was going to come about, but I just believed it would be done. And things, slowly but surely, the things that the devil has taken from me, I'm bringing them back to me sevenfold. And that's what you got to believe. People got to have some evidence of the impossible in your life for them to want to say, you know what? I want to put my trust in God as well. People might never believe in God to a level until they believe in you. Because they see the God in you. That's why it's so important to lead by example. That's why it's so important to be somebody who's walking by faith, not by sight, not by feelings, not by emotion, but you walking because discipline is more than sacrifice. And that's why you got to realize obedience is more than sacrifice. So you got to walk that way so people can follow you. Okay, let's get into chapter 9, episode 9. The title is, in order to be a great leader, you must be a great follower. God said he will make you fishermen of men. You have to be a great follower. That means you have to celebrate those in leadership that God has put you in that season to elevate them. Because as a leader, you want people to do the same thing for you. And that's why you got to humble yourself. And if you humble, you can receive. And a lot of times people don't go to different levels because they're not humble. Just because you're in a leadership position, you should have a servant mentality. You should be leading by example. You should be the best of the best in whatever you're doing so people want to follow you. We live in a time now, people want to see what you're doing. They want to see if you can do those things. As a personal trainer, it's no way in the world I can be out of shape, breathing hard, and telling somebody, oh, I can train you. Don't worry about what I did or worry about what I do, but I can train you. People don't want to hear that. If you correlate that to life, and that's the same thing. People might don't say anything, but they're looking at everything you do. How can this person tell me something and they're not living that way themselves? So you got to be very intentional. Like I always tell people, JerryGoodeJr is a brand. Everything I do is looked upon. Every move I make is strategic. Every move I make has to be of God. It can't even be the appearance of evil. So my brand and my name is going to be a blessing to so many people. And I know I walk by faith and not by sight. So I know the things I'm doing is going to excel my brand. The scripture on that is that then Jesus said to his disciples, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross and follow me. See, we got to understand God's ways are different from our ways. You have to rest and believe that, hey, let me allow God to excite my imagination. Let God speak through me. Let God take me to places I can't take myself. When you have a burning desire, when God gives you certain desires so he knows where you're going to go, those desires that you have of God, that's how you know you're in the right place. Don't worry about how it's going to come about. Just believe that he's put it in your spirit that you're going to overcome and you're going to conquer any territory he puts you in. When he take you to places or put you in situations, he's there for you to take over the territory. So you can be a blessing to that area and a blessing to so many people. Once you become great and unstoppable, you got to understand it's not about you anymore. You're doing things because you're looking at generational. You're looking at how I can change the environment, how I can change the world because God has put me in this territory. It's not about you anymore. It's about being a blessing to so many people. Starting in the chapter. Faith is having the courage to let God have control. Until you are willing to let God take over the steering wheel, you will never be able to make the impossible possible. Leaders solve problems. They don't create them. Great minds never sleep. They are humble enough to know that they cannot do anything without God. Wise enough to give God their problems, and patient enough to wait on God for the solution. There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Success takes a total commitment. Total commitment. That's what you understand. That's what separates you, is your commitment level. But also, too, giving God control. Once you do all you can do, let God do the rest you can't do. Do not try to figure out, just constantly do what you do on a daily basis. Take the daily wins and look at everything you do on a daily basis. Evaluate yourself. What could I have done better? But understand is that at the end of the day, do you have peace? Are you doing things of God? Are you climbing without compromise? You're not just doing it because you're doing it with a purpose. When you're purpose-driven, you understand that, hey, my passion is what wakes me up. When I'm purpose-driven, I have excitement every day, because not only the things I'm doing is doing it for me, I'm doing it for so many other people. That's why I'm totally committed. When I'm doing this digital daily network show, I'm committed because I know as it grows, the information people are listening to is changing lives. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. When I can get somebody to talk to me and say, hey man, I listened to your message, it's what I needed. It changed my life. Those are things that push me even more to know I am doing the right thing. I already know that, hey, I'm doing this because I'm being a blessing to so many people. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. The race is not given to the swift, but to the one who endures to the end. As a business owner, I realize that I must always lead by example. I must continue to have a great work ethic and always uphold my business model. Excellence is our standard. Passion keeps us driven, and commitment makes us great. These are the words I live by, and I want my customers to experience this and my employees to live by this. This is why this way of thinking is how many companies stand apart, how my company stands apart. In a world where so many things are rapidly changing, the need to uphold a standard of excellence and commitment is priceless. I wake up every day with a standard of excellence. That's just how I live everything I do. I'm not perfect, but I'm always striving for perfection. I'm looking forward to doing excellent in all my areas. You don't know who's watching. And the reason why I'm elevated is because I look back and having the spirit of excellence, people say, hey man, I'm going to choose him because of his excellent spirit. It's not about being perfect, but you have to be intentional. You want to stand apart. Majority of the people, they just do enough to get by. Majority of the people you give them a couple of months and the real person will come out, because that's not instilled. They're doing just enough to let people know at that moment in time, I want to fool this person just for a little bit longer. But when you have a spirit of excellence, this is who you are. You do it every day consistently. And what happens is most people are not used to people having a spirit of excellence every day. So they think, okay, it's just some facade, or you just put this on. But this is who I am. And once people realize that, hey, the burning desire to be excellent every day, and they see that, it changes the environment. It makes people want to follow you. It makes people say, hey man, I need to grab along that energy that he has. That anointing on his life is contagious. And that's how you change the world, one person at a time. You can't change the world until you first change yourself. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after you're having an experience with you becomes your trademark. This way of thinking should not only be when you are a business owner. This way of thinking should be instilled inside you as a leader. When I was a manager of a company, I always ran it as if I was the owner. When I was a manager of GNC, I ran it as if I was the owner. So when I transitioned to have my own company, it was just like I was working for GNC. That's the mentality I had. Every day I came here working as if I was managing GNC, because I was a good steward of what I was doing. And so people are like, well, why are you working so hard? They don't see what it takes to get to that next level. I see what it takes. I see behind the scenes. I see being committed to this network and how it's going to grow and how it's going to change the world, because we have so much negativity. We need positive. People need to see overcomers. People need to see a spirit of excellence. People need to see, okay, This is a brand that's out there trying to do the best thing for people. Being a leader, being a man of Christ, and being excited about being a man of Christ, and not going backwards, not dumbing down what I feel about the Lord. I am a master man of God. I'm a man of courage. I'm a man of strength. I'm a man who get things done. And I'm a man who will continue to make things happen on a daily basis. No matter what job you decide to take, and no matter what you are getting paid, you should always do your best. Because that is the reflection of the standard of excellence that should be inside of you. I've heard many people say that they are not getting paid enough to do their best. My reply is this: nobody forced you to take the job you agreed to. And when you took the job, you knew how much you were going to get paid. It wasn't a surprise. So if you felt that pay was not acceptable, then you had the freedom to say, I'm not going to work for the amount of money you are offering me. But if you decide to expect the pay that is offered, then don't complain. Just do your best and strive to advance within the company, or strive to eventually start your own company. When I was a waiter, I did my best. When I washed cars, I did my best. Anything I've done, I did my best. Because it's instilled inside of me. And that's how you gotta look at life. I am what I am because this is how I am. I'm a reflection of God. He's poured so much into me, and I'm my standard of excellence because of him. So when you think about God, think about excellence. When you think about creating a dynasty, creating a legacy, changing lives, think about excellence. When you think of JerryGoodeJr brand, think of excellence. God bless.